Tilburg. Ik ben directeur van het Ambacht in Beeld Festival. And I'm going to switch to English. Welcome to the Craft in Focus Documentary Film Festival. This is our second edition and the first time we have this festival in Amsterdam. And I'm very happy to see so many people here for the opening film of the festival. The opening film is a very special film. It's called Man of the Cloth. It's a beautiful film about Italian tailors, and it's a big honor for us to have Vicki Vasilopoulos present, the director. She's from New York. She flew in today, and it's really fantastic that you're here. We also have a great panel of speakers who will, after the film, share their thoughts on the subjects that the film raises. Roel Wolbrink, Amir Etemadi, Mischa Bergshoeff, and the moderator is Ninke Bloemberg from the Centraal Museum in Utrecht. I hope you enjoy the screening, and again, it's a pleasure to have you all here. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Can you please give a short introduction of yourself? You are a documentary maker?
I am, but I think of myself as a storyteller first and foremost. I have a background in men's fashion. I was a men's fashion editor for many years, and I would put it in the lady cover of the shows, and that's how I was introduced to this world.
Okay.
And I just became enamored of these gentlemen.
My name is Amir. I'm a master tailor. I learned the craft from my father and grandfather. I run a tailor shop in the North Island. I work with some tailors who work in the company. Together we create masters clothes, like the gentlemen do. I did law 10 years ago, and when I finished, my father grabbed me and put me into the job. Basically, the way the gentleman said it goes, you stay on the table, you see what they do, and then you're pulled into the crowd.
My name is Mischa Bergshoeff. I'm maybe the odd duck around here because I'm a shoemaker. So
also important.
It's also important. I've seen a lot of things on the screen as well that really identifies myself with it. So, yeah.
Because the shoes are made by hand.
Made by hand. The steps are similar as what I do. So,
thank you.
Very nice to be here.
Roel?
Yeah, Roel Wolbrink. Thanks Vicki for a beautiful documentary. I was touched by it because I started in this business 17 years ago. Now we run 2 shops in Amsterdam and Utrecht, and it's every time a party to have a suit or shirt tailored for get a suit tailored for a customer that is happy. There are many quotes that I can use out of the film, or I use already.
Okay.
So it was
Okay.
Getting home.
Yes.
Hello, my name is Julian Dash. I'm owner of my business called Holy Stitch in San Francisco. What I do is I make jeans from scratch, custom jeans, one at a time, and I teach kids how to do it too. So I have a lot of similarities. I also have an internship and apprenticeship program also. So I'm very thankful to be here and also see a lot of similarities I'll enjoy talking about during the movie.
Thank you. Can you tell us how long it took you to make this documentary?
It was about 11 years from start to finish.
11 years?
Yeah, it was
Wow.
very much a labor of love. Something you just kind of have to do. It was like a compulsion. I often thought of giving up because it was like a form of madness to keep going. But I knew it was important. It was an important story, and it's a great responsibility when someone gives you the license to tell their personal story, their life story. And I took that really seriously. And I just followed it where it led. You know, I thought I was finished with the film several years ago. Then when young Joe entered the picture, I realized that was going to change the entire trajectory of the film. I had to go back and shoot more footage and raise more money to do so. And it made it much more complicated task to edit the film because you now had not 3 but 4 main characters essentially. And it was quite a challenge to weave their stories together into a cohesive narrative. They all have similarities, of course, but they have very important and distinct differences in how their careers play out. And I wanted to sometimes emphasize those differences. You know, Joe was the elder statesman, of course. He took on The Apprentice. Nino was the one who worked for a large company, for Brooks Brothers, and kind of basically threw an entire career away to start over again, to start his own line, to what is essentially a throwback to another era. And that was very brave of him to do that, and I thought that was a very unique story. And of course, Kikino, the master tailor of Brioni, is interesting because he started exactly the same place, essentially, where Nino and Joe did. But when he was 20 years old, he realized that the factory was the way of the future, as he put it. Ironically enough, it was his uncle who started the factory. And his cousin is the last remaining independent tailor in the same town. I thought that was fascinating.
That's the son of his uncle.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, that's
So
interesting.
it's like in this whole family, you can see the past, the present, the future. And of course, that's the way the whole world is going. It's sort of in that model. As he said, it was based, Brioni was based on the idea of US-inspired serial production methods.
And like he said, it's probably the future. Do you agree, or do you also think there's room left?
Of course, there's room, but you know, in terms of making a living, you know, there are good. You know, I try not to make judgments about that. I let other people come to those conclusions. You know, as we say in the film, it kind of saved that craft for that town, that region. It stopped the immigration abroad. I mean, I think we can probably all agree that's a good thing.
Definitely.
Many people earn their living, and the whole region thrives because of it. So it's really hard to draw, you know, hard and fast lines like this is good, this is bad, you know. It's not my role to do that.
No, I think you did a good job because you do not feel any judgment. At least I didn't feel any. And how did you find these men? Because they're all men. Well, they have daughters, but.
Well, I'm a journalist by training, so it's all about hitting the pavement, making calls, doing research, talking to people who know more about this than I do. And it's really about finding people who are at the top of their game, who are, you know, masters of their craft, world-class craftsmen, but also very compelling in person and who love to talk about what they do, who are very articulate about it. Many craftsmen don't want to talk about what they do. They want to be left alone to do their work and not have to explain themselves. What's unique about Joe, Nino, and Kikino is they all were very generous in sharing their knowledge with me and with others, of course. And they're just very compelling individuals. They're very passionate. And they clearly love what they do. And I, for one, always enjoyed being around them. And I thought an audience would feel the same way.
Because you, to not be a visitor or to not be, you need to be around for hours and hours, I can imagine.
Yeah. A lot of times they'd be like, don't you have enough? What, you're back again?
But also
Yes.
for them, especially in the smaller, with the Nino and not to be a visitor, to be like
Like a collaborator.
Right. Was it hard, or they were very cooperative?
They had their moments
Okay.
when they lost patience.
Really?
We worked around that.
Okay.
We gave a little more time, a little more space.
Mm-hmm.
I think they were flattered that I paid that much attention to them and that they cared enough, that I cared enough to show all the different aspects of what they do, but to really kind of bring out their humanity, essentially. To me, that was the most important thing.
Well, you did a wonderful job. I think everybody agrees in this. And Amir, well, you run one shop
Yes,
and
in Amsterdam Basically two.
Basically two, but there's one really open and.
Oh, I have a shop
yeah.
basically in The Hague.
Mhm.
This is where I live and where it's my
Mhm.
atelier,
Mhm.
and also where I live at the back, where where the people who work at Ettemadis sew everything and make
Mhm.
everything. I learned the craft from my father, as I said. I
Mhm.
cut everything, which is basically the most important because you
Mhm.
give the piece a soul, and that makes the difference. When the customer comes, you tell him the story and want to tell him because you created it. So that's the thing which is different than by things which are made somewhere else and they come
Mhm.
in. I have also not a shop in Amsterdam Hotel, which I receive clients.
Okay.
But everything is done in The Hague. Yes, it's the most important is I think, of course, the quality of the garment and the way we create it. But the personalization of the garment, that's
The
the
soul.
thing. That's the soul,
yeah.
which you cannot say how it's. I know how it's built, but when you wear it, it has it's something different.
Je sais quoi.
yeah.
It has something you can't quite quantify.
No, but it's customer sees it, he feels the energy, and I look at it, and its eyes twinkles, and I guess this is what we wanted, and that's the reason for example, why our business is going well is that customers feel that they get the attention they want, they get what they want. Pure quality.
And you were taught by your father.
Yes.
One of the tailors said that he was also taught by his father, but
Yes.
that was also very difficult.
Of course, because they are artists, so what you do is not good. It will never be good. But that's the good thing because it gives you something like, hey, I want to be better and better and better. And sometimes, for example, in night I think about, I cut this, it should be different. And then in the morning I try to go as fast as I possible downstairs and cut it as the way I want it. And when you give that energy to it, it will be what you want. And every day you learn because you have different people who come in your shop and what you make for them is totally different from another client. So that is the beautiful thing because every piece, although it's the same, it's a jacket or a suit or a shirt, but it's individual.
Well, lucky for you, you only need to go downstairs.
Yes, it's very easy, but of course I'm always 24/7 on the job, but this is part of the.
But he also said that.
You're always thinking about your work, though.
I'm always thinking.
Even when you're not actually doing your work, right?
Yeah.
Because you are your work.
I am my work.
Yeah.
And this is what people, customers or clients also see because you you make jokes and you are at your home. So, for example, I had this guy. He was very young and he came in and I said, hey, you look young and you want a bespoke and basically, but you level because you understand what you're doing. This is your house, your work, and you're going to tell this person who is not a professional in this kind of field, and they appreciate it, and people appreciate that you tell, no, it should be like this, you should wear it like this, your shoulder should be like this. Well, let me make it for you, and we will see if you prefer or not. More or less, my father learned me the cutting, and I was 21, when I was in the University of Amsterdam, and he used to cut like 2-3 pieces, shirts and suits, and I thought, okay, but this is difficult because he's doing it by himself. So what shall I do? Because I believe that it's not possible to do it in your own. So I learned from him the cutting and everything, and basically we started together in The Hague 5 years ago. And we were together, and at that moment, we, as the tailor in New York, we did in newspapers, like we are searching for tailors because my father was a master tailor, and at that time he was learning the craft to me. And we had some people who started working for us, and some of them stayed, some of them left. And now we have a team. So I am, of course, young, I'm 30 almost, but I have people who are 45, but there is so much respect because I know how to do it from step to one to the end, and they don't know as well. So.
But you still have a chance to make a suit, or are you mainly managing?
Sorry?
Are you mainly managing your team, or do you
No,
still
no,
make?
no. I do the cut.
Okay, okay.
What you see, they do the cut. If you get a lot of customers, you are not able to do everything, although you know how to do it. And
You have to limit your
you have to limit your
quantity.
yes, because you want to have
The quality.
the quality, so you cannot stitch as well. And of course, it's the nice thing to do. But if you want to continue in this business and make it grow, you have to specialize as well. You have to know what you and I do the cutting, and I control at the end what is finished. To look at it, and then I do the fitting.
And do you differ from your father? Because your father worked by himself? Or?
Yes, he was basically my grandfather was a master tailor, and my father used to learn it from him. And then he went to the UK and he studied there in the 70s. But my father was more or less a person who wanted to do production, just copying what they, for example, did in London and do it in Iran, because I'm originally from Persia, from Iran. And but I liked more the personal things. And basically, it's a combination because he knew how to produce, and I liked the personal, like individual work. I think this is the strength of my company, which is basically sartorial, but also possible to do it in the future and for a long time.
And the people you are teaching are...
Yes. At the moment, it's difficult because you have to spend your time on the customer, as you were saying, and then a student comes by and he wants to learn it. But I think at this point it's very important also for the Netherlands. The mentality has changed. We like to create things. So basically we have to start teaching students as well.
Sometimes you see a person with a very nice suit, but with shoes with rubber soles on them. It doesn't work that way. Or white socks.
You immediately see it.
Way past that of the white socks. But for instance, not to be judgmental, but German people, for instance, they wear a tailored suit and they wear slippers, with white
It
socks
happens,
on.
I know.
Yeah, those are the worst ones.
Yeah.
So,
and you said you recognized a lot in the documentary
Yeah.
about the way the tailor works.
Yeah. It's of course it's different because it's a different material, but in this main essential it's exactly the same. The man or woman will come, you take their measurements. In this case, I make a last, so which is the mold. We also make a trial shoe, so it's the same, and we do adjustments on that. Sometimes we do another trial shoe, and then we go to the real creative part. And do you like this? Do you like that? Some creases. Do you want it to crease like that, or do camouflage certain aspects of the foot, which make it a wee bit longer or a wee bit more wide? Sometimes we have real big chunky feet. You have to learn to make it more lengthy, so you don't use some stripes in length or in width. So that's really essential.
Yeah, and it's also a family business,
Yeah,
right?
also it, yeah.
Okay.
I'm third generation. My
generation.
grandfather, right after the Second World War, he started on his own. I learned my craft from different people, because contrary to what you see, I think it is essential to learn from different people, because you don't own all the wisdom. Everybody has his own single. Sometimes you have to pick out a certain spot. Well, that's really good to use, and the way I did it, it's not that good. That's better. So you use that one. You grab it from different people. You grab certain small pieces of knowledge, and that's what you make your own. And that's what makes you. That's built in you.
And so did you have different masters, or was there an academy, or?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, different masters, different academies.
Okay.
First,
within the Netherlands?
Within the Netherlands, there still is.
Okay.
It's a different type. not as exactly as shoemaking, but I started out as a cobbler first when I was 16.
Okay.
Then I went to the craftsmanship of making shoes, but was more like in the design world. There were a lot of women who came from the art academy, and we're going to make shoes, we're going to have fun. But it is a craft. Yes, you can. It is fun to make it, but when you want to make perfection, that's not the way it works. After that, I become a surgical bootmaker. That was an education of 6 years. So you get a lot of anatomy. You get totally different aspects of the foot, making last. So that's completely different. So all in all, my total education was about 10 years. So first cobbling, then I did design shoes, and then I did surgical shoes. After that, I went to Fontes High School, which was more like engineering. So, what is more like in the surgical side. What my main passion is in similar like this, more custom-made, one-off. All I do is one-off.
And how long does it take?
Approximately for making a pair of shoes.
shoes.
Well, it's about between 30 and 40 hours.
30 and 40 hours.
Yeah.
And
So it's almost as similar as making a suit.
Jacket.
Jacket,
Jacket.
yeah.
And where do you get the materials? You mainly work with leather?
Leather. Most of the leather always comes from Italy,
Italy. Okay.
but I get it from around the globe. It's harder and harder to get good raw materials,
Yeah.
probably for the suit makers as well. You have certain branches which you can go to, but in Italy it's also with fabrics, it's overtaken by the Chinese who make, sort of. But with leather it's also different because mostly you get it from Italy.
Yeah.
Mostly from Italy, but also other different parts of the world. For instance, you get from Australia, you get the crocodile, you have the wallaby and the kangaroos, you can get from there, especially, ostriches as well, or South Africa.
So you go to the places, to the
I have my
factories
men in the
yourself?
field who can call and will get it from me.
Because my other question was, made in Italy, is it still worth the label? Because like you said...
well, it's almost, it has certain similarities as well as you see in the movie. Because it's a dying trade as well in Italy for custom shoemaking as well. For instance, when you go to Italy, you will still find them, but they're generally really more older people who are working that, and you see shops closing down. But there are also new people learning the trade, but it's different. Nowadays they come from all over the globe to a certain place to get information. You will see, for instance, in my business, you will see a lot of people from Japan coming to Italy, coming to Holland, which may be odd, but we do have a very high level of surgical bootmaking. We are the best in the world in surgical bootmaking. A lot of people don't know that, but we do. Next beside to the Germans and Denmark and Switzerland, we are the #1 in surgical bootmaking. So we do have the knowledge, but again, due to EU regulations and school financing, it's becoming more and more difficult to put it in a package which will sell towards the government to allow funding. So it's getting more and more difficult. So it's very difficult to get good education. But in my trade, the insurance companies, who also pay for the surgical bootmakers, not directly but indirectly also pay for the schooling.
When we started 70 years ago, the craft was almost dying, like we saw in the documentary, which is a pity, of course. So we had to train and find people, and it was a hard thing to do. By now you have to Maestro Koetsier is now Amfi, and there are some initiatives here in Amsterdam particularly to build the craft again, which is very good. There are some people of Meester Coupeur opleiding around. Yeah, very good. They're doing a good job there. And we have some Joes on the premises working on garments for the final for customers, which is good. We still have a Maestro kleermaker working with us, and that's necessary to build the business. But from the beginning, we said we can't do all the garments on the premises, because if we talked with a tailor 70 years ago and he said, okay, Roel, yeah, sure, you can start a tailoring business. I do about 50 suits a year. The cousin of Gino, Nina, yeah. And then I thought, yeah, but that's not the business I want to be in, because I don't want to control the business, but I want to know where cloth is made, how it's made. I want to get to know the people really, really close, so I can make a suit that fits him. I shouldn't fit the body, I should fit a head. So I have to know the people that we make suits and shirts for. And that's even a more important thing, perhaps, than the actual making of a suit. Because
feeling,
it's managing the expectations of the customer, and he has to know what the art is, and he has to know what we are thriving to get for him. Yesterday I read a book about the history of food, and then I read a sentence that the slow food movement started in '86 already, so that's about 30 years. And slow food and slow clothing is more or less the same. And people are looking into the backgrounds of things, which is very good. If you know what you're getting, then it gets more worthwhile, and the durability will get even better or stronger. It's not only in clothing, but also in food and in everything we do nowadays that people think about it, and that's the new generation.
They gain a lot of information about the making process.
About sounded old, huh? Yeah. But the new generation is into where everything is coming from, and which is good.
I'm located in San Francisco. I make jeans one at a time. I'm self-taught. I started doing that because of a couple reasons. Main reason, I got in trouble with graffiti, and so my main inclination is to design and make art. People paint on canvas, so denim is a different form of canvas. So I just kind of did that. It was mainly also a dream, and I think it's my destiny, because there's a lot of symbols that pointed me to what I'm doing. My main goal is to have my own factory run by kids. And also I hope to have them by the end. I want to have control of my clothing from seed to retail, meaning I want my kids picking cotton all the way to making them, but they're going to be happy doing it, you know, listening to music or whatever they need and going to get paid well. Currently, I have 2 apprentices, and I have about 4 interns right now, which I train them how to make jeans. I don't consider myself a master yet. I taught for many reasons, because one, it's the highest form of learning. So I thought if I'm going to learn something that everyone told me not to do, because they said pants are hard and this and that, I thought I'd teach someone. So I would reinforce my craft. And then also in San Francisco, there's only one jeans factory. And I've been in there so many times, and I've seen people pass away. And I try to get a job, I try to do everything to be in there. And it's an old formula of production. So I thought in collaboration to help them out and to help the community out, I have an alternative and open up my own factory to help kids and to just continue making my art. Because to me, it's straight art. So. Yeah.
And do you find the kids, or do the kids find you?
The kids find me.
Okay.
Yep, strictly word of mouth. So it's its own filtering process. You have to be interested. My studio doesn't have a sign. It doesn't have hours. You have to knock on the door 3 or 4 times if I'm there. And if you're willing to do that, then that means you're interested, and then I'm willing to take you on. Yeah.
That's very clever.
Yeah.
I have one question for you as well. Is anyone wearing a tailored suit? Me too. And where did you get it? From the new tailor?
A new no store or clothing manufacturer who was able to make that kind of shirt. And I was just looking around the internet and came across Roel's company, and I just happened to go to the store and visited him and asked, well, can you make an denim shirt? And he could. So, well, that's where it all started. And from there, another shirt followed, another shirt followed. Well, my first suit, and now this jacket followed. So it's been over 2.5 years, I guess.
Okay. And are you saving money to buy the suit, or how does it work? Because it's normally a bit more expensive than to go to suit supply. Or
It is indeed quite expensive, but it's indeed worth the save and well, investing wisely, because a good jacket can last at least 5 to 10 years, and that's better than investing in some fashion thrill that will last for like one season. You think, oh, it's beautiful now, but in 1 year you think, how could I have bought that 1 year ago? And I prefer timeless pieces that can last for decades.
Yeah.
I made it myself.
Oh, you made it yourself. Are you a master tailor?
Yeah,
You are.
for 62 years.
62 years. Wow. Where did you learn?
In Rotterdam I start tailoring at Ambacht school,
Okay.
and that doesn't exist anymore.
No.
And after that, in tailoring shops, I learned the profession in the A class, we called that at that time, in the most difficult way. And after that I start fashion designing at the art school in Rotterdam. And
And
I
are you
made a long
a long way.
a long way to come here.
And are you still working? Because
Yeah, I'm still working.
Okay.
I'm making costumes for clients, for bridegrooms, but also for Hans Klok, the special tricks.
Oh wow.
The girls who come on in a dress and in a flush they change the costume.
So it's
That's fun to design and to make. I saw in the film that it's very old-fashioned what they're doing. The way of sewing in the sleeves with the padding in it, that's so old-fashioned, and they still do it now. And we have another vision in Holland on this, but on more things. The irons, the 10-kilo irons without steam, they're working with what we call a fots, the wetting a piece of cloth and ironing. It takes so much more time, and it's not necessary to do it in this way. We are trying to find another way to do it quicker, because you have to earn money, and when you work a day longer on a costume, the client doesn't say, oh, you've worked longer, then you get some more money. So
doesn't work that way.
No.
No.
Are there master tailors women?
It's traditionally a male-dominated field. I'm sure there are some women, but not very many.
It's like with cooks and with. It's
Because
all.
the apprenticeships were traditionally, boys. Would you agree?
We trained one the last 3 years, since she left our company the 1st of January, unfortunately, but she is a master tailor by now, I would say.
It's,
So
you have one as well.
I found one, at least.
Rare species.
And she's good. So,
And she started up her own.
No, she started working for another company, which is fine with me. But she's a good tailor, and the master tailor taught her.
Okay.
Sorry, maybe it's a very simple question, but how much does it cost? Something like that. I have no idea.
Let's make a calculation. We have several steps in our shop. 8-hour suits that are glued and made perfectly in balance and a perfect cut, but it's made quite industrial. Then 16 hours, then you get more, you get a better canvas, and if you want the full works, then we need at least 48 hours. And what would you pay a painter to paint your house? An hour. So, or whatever, craftsman, an artist. So we started €2,999 for a full tailored on-the-premises suit, which is a bargain, I would say, if you see the end result and what you get for it.
So why would anyone want to still buy like a Hugo Boss suit for maybe €1,000 instead?
8 till €1,300 for. Good question, and I don't know the answer all the time.
I can't pretend to know why people, make the purchases that they do. I think, it comes down to marketing essentially, and people want to be associated with a particular brand because they think it represents an image, and they want to buy into that image. I don't want to say it's a less sophisticated approach, but it is. And I think if you have the education, and you know what actually goes into making something, as you put it so well, you realize that it's a much better value to get something made, or at the very least made to measure, if not full bespoke. You get to brag that you have a Hugo Boss, or you have an Armani, or you have a Ralph Lauren, or whatever it happens to be. And that's essentially what it comes down to. If you're lucky and you have a perfect body and that can put something on the rack on your body and it fits great, and there are some guys like that, not many, then you're truly blessed, but most guys are not like that. They have very strange, quirks in their bodies that need fixing.
Yeah, we do.
That did not come out right.
I think the personalization of everything is starting at this moment, a few years ago. So basically I don't think that off the racks who's like going to Hugo Boss and buying a slim fit suit because you want a slim fit suit and you want to look young, has to be Hugo Boss. But as you said, it's a marketing thing. And I disagree a bit with Roel. It's not for customers who come in the shop. I give them the style which I think it should be. And of course you cannot have everybody as a client. But this is, but of course you have to understand what the client wants.
From my perspective, it's definitely art. And when you go to a gallery, some artists really get their feelings hurt if you don't like their art. I come from graffiti, so I paint something, I put my heart up in it, tomorrow it's gone. Okay. If you don't like it, cool, it's okay. So it's not for everybody, and at that moment, we are the expert. And so we have some authority to inform you and give you some education on what may be a quality. And if you don't like it, then it's a conversation. And then once a conversation starts, a relationship starts. And that's where the good product comes out. Because it's the simple things of talking to each other, feeling them out, knowing his daily life, his habits, all kinds of things, and that connection. And those customers are not regular customers. You go into a store, no one talks to you, you buy it, you're done. At least I can tell our customers, they talk to us, we joke, we laugh, sometimes we eat, all kinds of things, and they come back for other things than just the product,
I totally agree.
Yeah. And there was one quote in the movie, I wrote it down, it was something about like the student wants to become the teacher, and the teacher wants to be the student, or something like that. That's very deep, because that's true. That it's a full circle. Yeah, and
That's my favorite line in the film.
yeah.
The last line and the best line. Yeah. Good talking.
Yep, and the last thing is, I wrote a couple things down, but to keep it short is, he said it took 10 years to catch on. It's like when you're creating art, you're creating a vision. And the vision's not here today. The vision's going to be here however long it takes. So, of course it's not going to catch on. It's not supposed to be here today because we're building for something that's timeless, that's going to last forever. So, it's good that it's slow. It's good that it's growing like that, because anything that's here goes fast, just like money, it's gone. And the things that we make don't disappear like that. So I really like that, because it put me at ease and put, a lot of sensibilities of trying to make it really quick, because this is art. This is not just a product being made. And also visit the Amsterdam Maker Festival. I'll be there making jeans. Yep, Saturday, Sunday. Did I say that?
I'm jet lagged but thankful. No, it's really an honor to be here amongst these wonderful individuals and craftsmen, kindred spirits. I consider them all to be. I'm a craftsperson as well, always trying to get better at what I do. And what I do is a collaborative art form. I'm only as good as the people that I work with. and they make me look good.
Thank you very much. Thank you.